Hey guys, this is TogaChimp, and welcome back to another episode of TogaTalks. Well, first things first. Hey guys, this is TogaChimp, welcome back to another episode of TogaTalks. In this episode, I want to discuss the emergence of multiplayer within Nintendo's view. And we all basically know that Nintendo started out, let's just say Nintendo excels greatly at selling its multiplayer experiences with those of letting you play with those around you, as opposed to playing with those around the internet. Now, Nintendo has tried to open up their envelope and, access different markets by opening up themselves to the idea of playing online and such like that. Although they haven't fully grasped that situation, they're still working towards it. They're only making minor steps, like playing tiny little matches like tennis game matches, maybe golf matches. They're making the tiny steps to do it. They're not really opening up a whole book, as in like an MMORPG online, or like making a whole world online to explore. And Nintendo's not grasping the full idea of integrating the internet within their scope. But anyway, what Nintendo excels at is taking an experience, a gameplay experience, and making it into a fun experience with those around you, playing games with those around you. Multiplayer. That's the crux of the situation. It's multiplayer. That's what's fun about Nintendo. Nintendo can make multiplayer games wonderfully well and kick some ass. Of course, I can be talking about the simplest example that comes to mind is Brawl, not Brawl, but Super Smash Bros. That game takes all the fun of fighting and makes it from a one-on-one to a two-on-two to a tournament match of 200 on 200. Whatever, but there can be 4 people at once. Nintendo was the first people to actually, basically, I'm just going to say, patent the idea of playing together with a group of friends and just having a ball, having a good time. I wanted to address the issue though. Like, Nintendo makes these great single player games genres. For instance, Miyamoto in particular can create several single player experiences. But then it comes up to Nintendo to try and capitalize on the situations and make them multiplayer. So my question is, can you make games like Metroid, Zelda, or Pikmin a multiplayer experience? Now with Pikmin, of course, we've seen that you can actually play multiplayer, and it's actually pretty fun. You can get 2 people fighting each other. You can have 2 people commanding their own Pikmin armies, and it works pretty well. With Zelda, we've seen 4 swords, and that worked really well. Everything was happening at the same screen, unfortunately, so you didn't really have as much freedom. You basically, when you play a multiplayer game, you have to sacrifice a lot of freedom to play with others. But that's not a problem. I mean, that comes with the territory. 4 Swords is a good game. The only thing it lacked was fully fledged. Well, no, he even had a story. So excuse me. The question is, can you make Metroid into a multiplayer experience? Because basically, Metroid. And when I say Metroid, I mean like the 2D side platforming Metroid, not necessarily Metroid Prime. Can you make Metroid into a multiplayer platform? And I believe the answer, of course, once again, is yes. And Nintendo could do a good job with it. Well, what Metroid could do could be something similar to a game called MapleStory, if anyone knows what that is. It's kind of like a 2D wallpaper sticky, like, online game. But Metroid could be like the original run-around collectathon, like improving yourself by gathering items and stuff, with another person not on the same screen, but separately fighting your own stories and killing your own units, and getting your own upgrades, and then upgrading your own self in your own suit and your own weapons to eventually, in my opinion, to ultimately fight the other opponent. That would be my definition of a Metroid game, 2D Metroid game, multiplayer. And you could have more than 2 people. You could have like 4 people racing to try and find some sort of items within the world, overcoming some challenges within the world, and ultimately coming up with the last final battle in the very end. And these matches could last like 20 minutes in the overworld, or like all culminating to a single battle in the end, while in the process of collecting yourself and bettering yourself, you could fight each other, find yourselves on the field, and then try and kill yourselves or, steal their items after they've taken it. Stuff like that. Like, competitive nature of multiplayer is very fun, and Metroid could do a great job, 2D Metroid could do a great job if they implemented multiplayer. Now, when it comes to multiplayer, I'm also very curious about how Zelda could be issued a new multiplayer trademark as opposed to just being a Four Swords experience. Because when you want to play Zelda, you want to have a single player experience. You want to have the world evolve around you. You want to have the plot open itself to you through means of a storybook being told to you. And that's what makes it fun, being able to uncover the whole book by yourself. When you have people around you, you kind of, by nature of having a multiplayer story, you can't really pay attention to a story because you and your friends make a story as your own story as you play anything. Like, for instance, imagine you're playing The Elder Scrolls Oblivion, and you have a whole bunch of people. You basically, whenever you meet someone, you create your own story. If I were to meet a friend when I was like raiding a castle, let's just say Skyrim or whatever, I was raiding a castle. I could have an NPC tell me to do it, or I could just gather a whole bunch of friends and organize my own party to kill a certain king and sack a certain house, raid a certain building, and essentially I'm building my own story. What I'm trying to say is every time there's someone next to you, you are building your own story, building your own plot. So Zelda is what Zelda needs to find out how to do is create a single player experience with the plot, with the character development, with the gameplay. Well, not necessarily gameplay, but the thick of the matter is that it's a single player experience, not through gameplay, but through plot, depth, and I keep saying this. Anyway, I'm just kind of curious how Nintendo's going to actually implement 2-player or 3-player or 4-player compatibility in the new Zelda game, in the new Zelda series. And I'm probably going to do something similar to like using the second player can use a wand, or third player and fourth player could use a wand and point out secret hints within the game. That level of multiplayer isn't really multiplayer. It's more of like a niche. It's more than that niche. It's more like a tacky little. Oh, we really are a 4-player game. You can wave your wand around and then you can really play. No, I think what Zelda really needs to do is, if it's gonna make a 3D Zelda, fully fleshed out Zelda, like another Skyward Sword or full 4-year developed game, as they always do, Zelda's gonna have to really work on its way to make a multiplayer game. It's gonna be hard. But they could do it. Like, for instance, they could make the game actually centered around multiplayer. The idea of multiplayer, for instance, one player can beat the game, and the game should be considered a single-player storyline for one player, and you play as Zelda. You could have another character with another storyline, for instance, play as a Deku Scrub or something like that. Or a Zora, or a Goron, I'm kind of just taking inspiration from Majora's Mask here. Or you can even be, a Skull Kid. You can be a Stalfos, you can be an enemy. You can follow the storyline of a different enemy within the Zelda world. Sorry, I had to re-enunciate that. And then you could have those storylines emerge. Each with every single player controlling their own world and their own storyline and their own direction, opened up by the narrative of which is a single player story. And I think once all those different storylines converge, you could actually have yourself a successful multiplayer Zelda experience that is a multiplayer experience. And it's not just a tacky, everyone shares the same screen and it's all just a hodgepodge of craziness going on at one screen and everyone's doing their own thing, fighting each other, and no one's coordinating their own efforts. But then, that's the issue here. Like, when it comes to multiplayer, does everyone coordinate their own efforts, or does everyone converge and consolidate their power and fight the enemy together? It's all fun. It's all fun in games. That's the point. It's just a Zelda game. Zelda's meant to be fun. Metroid's meant to be fun. Pikmin's meant to be fun. Each of those games can be whatever you want them to be, I guess. What the fuck am I saying here anymore? But at the end of the day, I'm basically just saying that Zelda will be the new Zelda is going to be like a a tacky add-on like magic wand experience, kind of similar to Galaxy, how the second player can collect star bits with a wand. I hope it's not like that, but it might be like that, and that's what I'm assuming the new Zelda multiplayer experience is going to be like. Just to wrap this little multiplayer bullshit up, Nintendo is going to continue, and I'm happy about this. Nintendo's going to continue pushing multiplayer experiences, sitting side by side with your partners, because that's what they excel at, and that's what's really fun in life. I mean, having fun with games and having fun with those around you with games. Games aren't fun when you're by yourself, as much fun when you're by yourself, because they end. People don't end, because we're infinite, and we can create infinity through our actions with each other. And Nintendo knows this, and they're smart people. Miyamoto's a smart man. I respect him because he understands what it's like. And I hope Nintendo continues to do what they're doing. I hope they keep on pushing the multiplayer genre forward. And I hope they capture the market and kick some ass. Okay, well, that was my multiplayer Nintendo spiel. This is TogaTalks. That was the end of it. This is TogaChimp signing off. You guys have a good day and a good night. And, yeah, ciao. Yasu. That's how you say goodbye in Greek.